Chi-Town, do it.
Peace. What's up, Chicago? Tech Chicago.
I love it.
Tafay, what's up? You good?
Grammy winner, Oscar winner, Emmy winner, artist, actor, activist, author, father, son, and we all heard that Breakfast Club interview. Soon to be husband.
But most importantly, I'm a Chicagoan.
Chicago.
Yes.
We are beyond grateful that you're here with us today. We couldn't think of another person that really embodied what Chicago is. And Chicago is authentic, Chicago is resilient, and Chicago is creative. And that is common. So let's get into the beginnings. Like, what was life like for Rashid growing up on the south side of Chicago, and how did that experience really shape your career?
Well, first, I just thank God for being here. I'm very grateful to be on this stage with you, and grateful that all of you all are here. Thank you for having me, Tech Chicago. I'm so grateful that I was born and raised in the city of Chicago, because I grew up on the south side around the Chatham area or Avalon area, and I learned a lot about just being a young black man just by nature. That embodied meaning being raised by my mother and my grandmother initially, and that love that I got there, but then my mother instilling a spirituality in me and making sure that that was there. Then I'm going out playing sports, so I'm around people from different walks of life. Then I'm going around just in my neighborhood to go to the park, and I'm around people who gangbang and do these things. So I was able to put all this element along with just the soul that exists here in Chicago. You said something that's very important, the authenticity. When people ask me to describe Chicagoans, I say it's something authentic about us. And people feel that wherever we travel in the world. So for me growing up, I got to know my authentic self by seeing my environment, but also learning who I was. And though I didn't identify it at those young ages, it was in me. It was a part of me, and I felt I was able to absorb a lot of culture just by growing up in Chicago, whether it was Earth, Wind, and Fire, and Shaka Khan, and Minnie Riperton to Reverend Wright from the Trinity United Church of Christ, who taught me to be unapologetically black and unashamedly Christian, to Bebe and Puda, who were friends who I grew up with in my neighborhood, who taught me about just existing in life and in the streets. So I'm grateful for all those pieces that helped shape me in growing up in Chicago.
That's fantastic, and we love you for it. Common, how did you get the name Common? Because you're not common. So uncommon.
Yeah, well, listen, I was looking for a rap name. This was like when I was 17, 18 years old. I was at school at Florida A&M University, and I was like, man, I need a rap name. And I came up with the name Common Sense. Right. You know, it's just like, my mother used to always tell me, use common sense. And I thought that was a cool name because it was like everyday words, but it still was unique. It wasn't like what you had heard from any other rap. There was no other groups out there or artists out there with the name Common Sense. Well, little did I know, 4 years later, it is a group with the name Common Sense. And they decided to sue me for the name. Well, they only had the rights for the name in the state of California, but it would be awkward for me to sell records under the name Common Sense in 49 other states, bless you, and then end up...
gentleman, y'all.
And then end up just being another name in California. So I was so pissed, I was so salty that I had to change my name because I had just started building my name. It was like, this was the album Resurrection, and I started getting some credibility and feeling like Chicago, we were getting somewhere, and that's when they came and snatched it. And I had to just go with the name Common, and I was so pissed. That's when I started losing my hair, actually. I was stressing. But it actually ended up being one of those things. And it's something, it was a good lesson for me in life, is because, you know, some things that really hurt you at first and really get you upset and feel like it's the worst thing happening ever became a blessing. Because the name Common actually started to reflect who I am. I am of the common people. I'm a man of the people. I'm a reflection of you and I, women and men of everyday people. So it became more like nature and a nickname that really fit me, you know, and so I'm embracing it now.
We love it. And there's a quote on social that's going around that says, "I wish someone loved me as much as people from Chicago love Chicago." And Common loves Chicago, and we love you, Com.
Thank you, thank you.
Every album that you have, we hear ourselves in it, we see ourselves in it, from the lyrics to the visuals that you give us. What is it about Chicago that just continues to inspire you professionally and personally?
I think it's a soul that exists here amongst the people that it doesn't waver, really. We deal with our struggles, we deal with our victories, but that authenticity and the love that actually like overrides a lot of the negative things, I feel that when I come home. And I feel like inspired by the people and the creativity that we have and the way that we actually truly, when we get down to bare bones, the way we relate to each other. I know, like, if it was better economic situations going on in our communities and better opportunities as far as education and health and wellness, that we wouldn't have some of the negative things that do exist in our environments, because by nature, Chicagoans, we are loving people and we are great people and creative people and like fruitful people. And I feel that when I come home, and I need that when I need to come home, because, you know, at a certain point I moved to New York to further my career because I was really trying to exist in this music industry. And being in that town helped me to just network and make things happen. And then I moved to LA to start making things happen on the acting side. So I was balancing that. But I always came home just to get rooted in who I was. It's seeing the people and seeing my family members and friends who I've gone to high school with that don't know nothing about per diem, that don't know nothing about like being on a film set, that just authentic people, there's loving people. That is what makes me keep coming back, and I see our city evolving, and I know that it's things that I can offer because I have seen other things in life that I have to bring back home. That's a duty of mine. I call it the Harriet Tubman theory, but it's very much a practice of what I believe in. Is like, man, if I've been exposed to these things, I got to bring it to the crib.
That's right.
Yeah, so that's what I do.
That. And your community impact, that gets into my next question, the work that you're doing with Common Ground Foundation. And I've seen that you've done work in the prison system as well. Would love to understand what that work is about.
So check it out. I'm going to try to tell this story real quick. So when I was 19 years old, I was sitting at home. It was 4 a.m. I was talking on the phone to my girlfriend, my high school girlfriend, and I was looking right outside next door at this window, and I was looking at the house, and I just was on the phone. There was nothing to it. I was just looking at it. I went to sleep. I got tired. 20 minutes later, my mother was like, "Rashid, get up. Rashid, get up." And I wouldn't get up because I had been drinking. She said, "Rashid, get up. I'm shot." My mother was not shot, but what had happened within that 20 minutes of me looking at that window and going to sleep, someone who I knew who was a part of our neighborhood named Mike had put a ladder to the window, climbed in that window, and went in the house, who was his girlfriend at the time, and shot her father, slit her little brother's throat, and kidnapped her, right? So the little brother lived and had come over to our house to let us know what was going on, and my stepfather went over, and that's when I was up. Mike and I grew up in the same environment. We were around some of the same things. I just had a mother and a lot of love and discipline in my home. I don't think, me and Mike was like such a different, we didn't grow up in such a different disparity in environments besides from what I know, like just the love at home and like the foundation. Well, fast forward, 25 years later, I start a program with some of my comrades at Stateville Prison. It's called Rebirth the Sound. It's to help people who are incarcerated. We bring in studio equipment there, musicians. Shout out to Anthony and everybody who participated. So we have 12 members who could be a part of the first inaugural class of Rebirth the Sound. We couldn't get the other 50 who wanted to be a part, so the warden asked me to go talk to them. As I was going to fist bump with everybody, this dude stopped me and said, "Hey, Rashid, it's me, Mike." This was the Mike who had just did what he had, not just did, but it did what he did next door. He said, "Hey, Rashid, man, I want to apologize to you and our community because I was mentally sick when I did this." He said, "Man, I didn't know that at the time, but I was mentally sick. And I've been in this prison improving myself and working on myself and dealing with my mental health." And Mike is one of the reasons why I started Free to Dream. I started that because the only difference I think between me and Mike was that I had a dream. I had a dream that I could do something and be something. And that dream kept me from going too far over because we was in the same environment, around the same places. And what Free to Dream became is something that started with the Common Ground Foundation, which we've been doing for 20-some years, mentoring young people from every aspect of academics to health, to giving back to the community. And then we started AIM, the School Art in Motion, which is also dealing with academics, but also art in schools. It's a charter school we have on the South Side, where we put all these things together along with our Rebirth the Sound to call what we call Free to Dream. And it's a hub for people, starting with young people, to have a place where they can find their purpose. And we want to bring them opportunities and exposure so that they can discover their purpose. Because it was me discovering my purpose, my dream, that truly allowed me to be here. But first, take a step to say, I want to do something with my life and feel some value with my life. And I feel that's a real strong component to building value to any human being on this planet, but definitely starting with young people. So that's where Free to Dream started.
That's fantastic. I love it. And I feel like you give back. I feel like I know you. We're family, we cousins. But you take care of yourself so well. Like, you were one of the first celebrities that I followed who practiced veganism, right? I've seen your rituals online of like water intake and green juice. Like, talk about your self-care and like how important therapy is and mental health is for you, like with the environment that you just talked about coming from. Like, you can't give back until you pour into you.
Yeah, well, I grew up on the South Side, so I grew up eating Leon's Barbecue, Harold's Chicken, and ribs and bibs. And,
Mouth sauce.
Rossi's Pizza, that was on 87th Street, Italian Fiesta. And I'm not knocking those places. The food is good. But it was actually hip-hop that introduced me to what a vegetarian is. KRS-One had a song called My Philosophy, and he was talking about not eating certain foods. I didn't know what that was, to be honest. But it piqued my interest. And though I didn't become a vegetarian then, the more and more I became part of the hip-hop culture, and my friends were part of the Nation of Islam, we were learning about taking care of ourselves. It was a book called Eat to Live that Elijah Muhammad had written. It was hearing hip-hop songs that made me say, okay, you know what, I'm going to try to not eat these certain foods. And I stopped eating pork at one point, and I saw how I felt. And then I stopped eating beef, and I tried to eat beef again, and I felt so heavy. I said, I don't have to read another book. That my body just told me what I need. Well, as I saw those results, my own research of just living, I started to apply that and live in that way, and it became more of a lifestyle. It was hard giving up Harold's chicken, but I still eat the French fries when I can, you know. They cook them in chicken probably. So anyway, that being said, chicken grease. That being said, diet was very important because it gave me a clarity in my thinking that I didn't think it would affect. And it also helped me even in my raps. I was like listening to my vocals and being like, man, I used to sound super clogged up and a lot of mucus when I was rapping, and I could hear the difference. Well, along with that, my next step was like starting to exercise. Well, one way it came was like, I used to love to hoop, and so I would hoop. Exercise ain't gotta be just like torture to you. It should be some type of physical thing for yourself to like work your body, get them endorphins going. It's really a way to love yourself. Eventually, I started exercising more because I had to do something for a role. That was the excuse, but I saw how it made me feel. I saw how it was helping me relieve certain stress and certain energy that when I was angry and waking up with a not in the best of moods, the workouts helped me. But it first actually my wellness started with spirituality. What is my relationship with the higher power? Yeah, my mother had given me a foundation, but what was my path to God? And that, started with, me going to a Christian church, but I also started to read the Quran. I read books of Buddhism just to learn who God is to me. That has been the beginning of my wellness and my foundation and taking care of myself. So that means every day I wake up, I'm thanking God for the day, even if I'm not feeling good. So that means, well, at times when I'm dealing with the person at the airport that's egging me on, the TSA person that's trying to get me fired up and get me pissed, I got to work through it with some mantras and with some, my own meditation. The next component, mental health and wellness, happened because I was dealing with a tough breakup in my life, and I was in one of the lowest points in my life because my music wasn't being received well, and I was like, what's happening? I happened at the time to be looking for a place in New York to buy. Well, my real estate agent was talking to me, and she kept talking to me and talking to me. Then I found out she was a therapist, and she was giving me therapy while I was trying to buy these places. I said, well, shoot, let's do a session. I ended up connecting with her to do a session. I started learning things about myself, traumas that I had that I didn't know, things that I hid from myself that I didn't acknowledge. I started to learn why I was repeating myself in relationships, like cycles. And y'all always hear, Common, he gonna leave in 8 months or whatever. You hear that, but don't act like y'all don't hear that or say that. Y'all ain't the ones up there say, oh, watch it, girl, watch it. You better watch him. Well, what is that issue? What are those things?
That's right.
The places where I take the responsibility. I had to work through that with therapy and learning those things about myself and healing myself. And it all became a holistic thing because one component is good. It's a step, but it's like the whole thing, the whole self is how you get to happiness. And this, for me, has always been about creating happiness. I like seeing myself happy, but I like seeing people happy. So I spread that word just because I'm like, man, these are some of the ways that I've been able to be happier overall. That don't mean I don't go through some things and I don't deal with issues. We live in. We gonna deal with some shit. But I got to have the tools and resources to work through it. I don't have to stay in a funk as long as I used to. Or I can deal with some small situations and let them be small situations. So that's where all those elements from diet to mental health and wellness to meditation, have played a part. Exercise.
Wellness retreats are coming to Chicago.com.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'll be your first customer. So we are at Tech Chicago Week, and we're going to get into a little bit of conversation around AI in hip-hop. Hip-hop turned 50, y'all, 50. And Common has been a big part of those 50 years. I know you only like 50.
Well, I'm older than hip-hop. I'm 52.
52. That's what water does for you, y'all. That's what the water does for you. But what are your thoughts on the use of AI in music, in creation and production?
I think AI can be very beneficial to music and production if used in the right way. It's like any form of technology. If used in the right way, it could benefit us, and it has benefited us. I mean, earlier today, I'm seeking out songs and for a certain thing that I want to do, and some songs got suggested. That was part of AI, really the simple aspects of it, meaning like, this is what, maybe you should use this song. And some of the songs that were suggested were good. And I got to say that technology is dependent on the human beings and how we function with it. I will never say that we can't wipe out humanity and souls for technology, but it's a way that people can build a foundation off of being human beings and use technology. I used to initially, coming from music in the 90s and 2000s, we used to keep our music on reel-to-reels. On those reels, y'all, they seem old now, those things that used to turn the music, and your music was... First, I didn't want to give those up. And eventually, as we started getting into new technology, I did give it up and saw some of the benefits of us being able to work on a song and me send that song to somebody so I can get something immediately back from that person and they send it back. Now, that doesn't mean that being in a studio with someone it's a big benefit to creating and being in the presence. It's nothing like being in a room with someone. But sometimes after you've built that relationship and that foundation, you sending stuff back and forth can still benefit. That's where I've seen technology and specifically with Pete Rock and our new album. I seen him doing things with technology and the making of the beats that I was like, damn, we couldn't do this back in the 90s. But I see him benefit from using that technology. But the truth is, if he didn't have the talent, the technology can't make the talent. So I think it's key that we build like the core and the essence of what we are bringing in whatever facet of life it is, and then utilize the technology. And also don't let that get away from our integrity and our morals and the things that we really truly care about and value, because I do think, when people decide to use someone's voice without their permission, that ain't cool. That's just like, I don't think that's good for the person, because they may not want their image and likeness being used.
That's right. Yeah. You worked hard for that. You mentioned this new album. Have y'all heard it or have y'all heard it? The Auditorium, Volume 1 with Pete Rock. My kids listen to it every day on the way to summer camp.
What?
When the sun
shines again, yeah.
We love it. It is one of those things that we can play from beginning to end, and it just brings a new vibe and spirit in the car, and they just absolutely love it. But what was your inspiration, right, behind this new album with Pete Rock?
What's a fair? You talked about the 50th anniversary of hip-hop. When I got to experience all what I experienced last year, I saw how much people love hip-hop culture. And though, we always hear it's a young people's game, I was in stadiums, Yankee Stadium, I was in the United Center, watching people that was all ages, mostly 30 and over, 40 and over, going crazy for hip-hop. And it made me be like, man, this culture is alive, and it's room for Metro Boomin and Future and No Name and Chance, and it's room for Common and Pete Rock and Nas and the Roots and all the, like, I think we started to learn that with all these years and decades of making music, we still can create music if we continue to work at the craft and put our hearts and souls into it, and not try to reach like, let me try to see if young people gonna like the music or not. No, create great music. When I was young, I was listening to Michael Jackson. I didn't care how old he was. I bought Stevie Wonder's album. That was one of the first albums I bought. I was like 8 years old. He was in his 30s. But that didn't matter to me, because I loved the music. age is not a determinant of music. Color is not a determinant of music. The music is based on like how great it is. What's the soul? What's the heart of it? Do you have a gift, and are you using that gift at the highest level? And do you take your gift and continue to develop it and grow with it? That's what the music is about. I feel that Pete Rock and I took our gifts and grew with it. We experienced the ups and downs of this industry. This album, The Auditorium, is not this is not the only album I brought out in the last decade, but it's the last one. It's the first one that people paid attention to in a long time. And I love that. I don't have any qualms with that. I love that people are coming and saying, as you said, man, I'm rocking this album, but my kids can rock to it too. Or, man, we just needed this music. So our inspiration was about being true to ourselves, bringing the music in the way that we love it, and creating something that could potentially be a new classic. So that's why I wasn't like, let me compare myself to whomever is out there right now. I was listening to A Tribe Called Quest, Low End Theory. I was listening to De La Soul's, De La Soul is Dead and Balloon Mind State. I'm listening to Brand Nubians and like music that I said, man, this is the standard. I don't care what year it is, this is the standard. And I do believe it is artists that are creating the standard, that are new, like Kendrick Lamar. And I'm not just saying that just because of this battle. I always thought that this man was
He won.
I think artists like No Name from Chicago is really, really dope. And Earl Sweatshirt and like these are artists that I feel deliver something different. Griselda, it's artists out there that just create music with that soul and is part of that timeless structure that I'm talking about that the music had in the 80s and 90s.
So what's your favorite song on the album today?
Well, today, my favorite song is When the Sun Shines Again. Yeah, I'm not the best singer, y'all, but I did write.
Me either.
Yeah, but I can rhyme, though. But,
Speaking of rhyme.
That's one of my favorite, When the Sun Shines Again. It's featuring Pasta Newsom, De La Soul, and Bilal. And it's a just feel-good joint, man. We got to perform it at Grant Park over last weekend in Millennium Park, and it was real special to have them come out and perform with us.
The Fallon performance was fantastic. The stage was crazy.
Yo, thank you. I got to shout out Questlove from The Roots.
Yes.
He is truly one of the greatest visionaries I've ever been around, a true genius in so many ways. And that was his idea about us, about the basement, because Pete Rock always was making music from the basement. So that popped into Questlove's mind, and we created that set on the Jimmy Fallon, on the Tonight Show, and it just felt like the basement, and we was lounging and just
was a vibe.
Had a great time. Y'all got to check it out. It was a performance we did of When the Sun Shines Again on the Jimmy Fallon Show.
It's a vibe. So Common is no punk. He does not back down from a challenge. I'm not challenging him, but we are going to do a freestyle challenge. Yo, drop the beat. No, not that one, not that one, not that one, not that one.
Thank you for playing that, but no,
Yeah,
we had
not
another.
that way. Explosive.
If not, you got the beatbox it.
They used to call me T-Smoke. I'm ready. Because I spit that hot fire.
T-Smoke.
Do y'all have it? Y'all have it queued up? Explosive? It's the second link. We got time.
Just fast forward to the second. If that's the thing. If that's the thing, this is a dream. I'm with Tafare and she's a queen.
Hey.
I came to Chi-Town so we could beam. Yo, it's John Coltrane, a love supreme. When it comes to this, y'all, I get respect. I came to Chicago to talk the tech. Tech Chicago. This is the style I freak. I like to do it at Tech, Chicago Week. You should know how it is. The style is free. It's calm since I rock a P33. We like to shout them out and just do our thing. So it's common sense. Sometimes I like to swing low, sort of like the chariot. I could carry it. When it comes to ladies, she said I'ma marry it. Maybe or maybe I will. I come from the place that they call go ill. And I can let you know, calm since I came to grow up. Shout out to my man, his name is Joakim Noah, and he's right there. We always right there. The brother calm since I rhyme with no hair. Let the sun just glare off the head. These things I fed, and some things I said, I never said it before. I calm since I came through the door, and I let you know I had to just pour a couple of rhymes as I overflow. I always repping where Chicago, and that's how it be, we hanging outside. Shout out to the west, the north, and south side. Yeah, it's like this, I'm the common man. I gotta give respect to my cousin named Jonathan. We came down, since I rock it hard. All praises to God. Shout out to Claude. And when it comes to this, the style I guess I had. P33, I'ma shout out Brad. He's sort of tall. When it comes to this, I came to ball. I used to ball and let you know a yes, y'all. I discover. I had my mother on my record cover. I did a song called I Used to Love Her. And when it comes to this, y'all, you know the type of thing. The brother calm sense, I rhyme with a dream. I got a song named Dreaming, and I'ma keep scheming, stay scheming. When it comes to this, I'm teaming with my girl to fair. Maybe you might stare. And when it comes to this, the style ain't prepared. I can do it, and and get into the music. And when it comes to freestyles, I always stay fluid. But this right here, while I'm rocking in the chair, I better stop, cause I gotta go to O'Hara.
Calm sense. Calm.
You're Jason? Yeah. How do you pronounce your last name? Sterling? Just Sterl. Okay. It's Common in the place to be, y'all. And you don't blink twice because he rocks the mic. From one headliner to another, from one part of Chicago culture to another, it's time now for our main event. To help bring this main event onto the stage, please welcome first the EVP and CIO at Discover, Jason Sterl.
What's up, everybody? My name is Jason Sterl. I'm with Discover. For tonight, I'm known as Buzzkill. All right? A lot of energy in the room. It's fantastic. Awesome. So, real quick, before I bring up the main event here, a couple things I wanted to cover. This is, first of all, P33 World Business Chicago. Big round of applause for putting this together. Yeah. This is amazing. And special round of applause for our AV crew, working their tails off. Fantastic. You guys are great. This is my first Tech Chicago event. Now, I've just been here for a year. I moved here from San Francisco. And I got to tell you, in San Francisco, the Bay Area, tech talent is pretty deep. A lot of tech talent there, right? But I can tell you, since I've been here, since I joined the company, the tech talent in Chicago is legit. You got a lot to be proud of, right? And it's good that we got this deep bench here because we need it. Companies like Discover need it. We've got over 7,000 software engineers that we employ to make sure that things are happening for our customers each and every day. So we've got our tech hub in Chatham on the south side, where we focus on robotic process automation. We've got our office right in the middle of downtown at the 606 next to the Mart. We focus on data science. And then we've got our big campus up north where we do everything. So 7,000 engineers, but that's 7,000 engineers and counting. So if you're interested, look us up. Okay, we'd love to have you. So I feel very honored to be up here representing an iconic Chicago brand in Discover Financial. And it is also an honor to introduce two icons of the city as well. So without further ado, I hope we're ready. Claude Simius of P33. Claude. Claude, don't be shy. I know she's here. What's that?
You say it. Say it again. Say his name.
All right. Claude. All right. How about we do this then? I'm going to interview Joakim Noah. I'm buying you a drink after this rap. Oh my God. I'd have this place empty in 2 minutes. All right. Claude and the force of nature on the court, in the community, two-time national champion, Joakim Noah. Joakim. There he is. There we go. All right, go get him. You got a mic? Oh, you got it. All right, go get him. Thanks for having me.
I'm not freestyling, I'm telling you right now.
Wow. I'm so tired from this week. Thank you everyone for coming. I'm Claude. I'm the director of platform at P33.
Yes, sir.
I also founded TechChicago Week, and I've always wanted Chicago to have its own South by Southwest, kind of like a marquee event, week-long, where celebrating like the intersection of culture, business, entertainment, and all these things. And so I'm excited to see the third one to be so big and to so many amazing people. I'm excited to have Joakim Noah, who's been a good friend of mine over the past year, and someone who's really dedicated himself to Chicago. So we're going to talk about, you know, from the start of his career to what he's up to now and how he's looking into the future. And so please help me welcome Joakim Noah. Let's start from the beginning, from your high school. Can you tell us about your journey from high school to college and eventually the NBA, and what are some key moments you can think about high school and college?
First of all, thanks for having me up here, Clyde. You know, a real blessing always to come back to Chicago. I feel like this is like a home to me. I lived here more than anywhere else in my life, and this place really accepted me for who I am, and that's why I always felt like this is home. And even though I haven't played here in almost 10 years, what a blessing this place is, and some of the best times of my life were here playing for the Chicago Bulls. So a little bit about my journey. I grew up in New York City. That's where I was born, and then I moved to Paris. My father was a big tennis player in France, and grew up like a privileged kid, I would say. But I would see my dad and the work ethic and what it took to be a professional athlete, because I got to see it a lot. I got to see it every day, the sacrifices that you have to make. But I was living under my dad's shadow as a kid. I had no way to express myself. I felt timid in a way. And I really got into basketball, and I felt like that was my engine and that was my platform to be able to express myself. If you ever saw me play, I played with a rage, and I think the reason for that is because I just wanted to be my own man so bad, and I think that was, this is not something that a lot of people can relate to, but I felt like that was my way of expression. I feel like expression is something that is just so important. And moving back to New York as a teenager, where basketball is a mecca, it's a religion. Every other block there's a playground, and street ball, obviously, in every corner. It was something that was just shaped me, and so that's kind of my origins. And then, obviously, the question was high school to college to the NBA. There's a transition that goes from going to high school to college. The players are a lot stronger, a lot more physical, and you're also playing on bigger stages. So those were the different steps. You go to college, you're playing against 22-year-olds as a teenager, as an 18-year-old, and then you get to the NBA, and everybody thinks the NBA is National Basketball Association. But Tibbs used to tell me it stands for No Boys Allowed.
Can you tell us about the most, maybe 2 to 3 most memorable experiences you had here with the Bulls, whether it's on the court or off the court? I mean, it was a really exciting time playing with D Rose, and those days, I'm sure there's a lot.
What a blessing it was to share the court with some of my teammates. Some of my favorite memories. What I miss the most about playing, I've been retired now for 4 years, just having a beer on the bus with the guys, being in the locker room with the guys after a win. Some of those things that you kind of take for granted while you're playing. Going on a 8-0 run, the other coach calls a timeout, and you look at the top of the crowd, and you see a little guy cheering at the top, and just the UC is going crazy. I get goosebumps still talking about it right now. And how do you replicate that feeling of just being on that court and having 20,000 people going crazy? The adrenaline, the endorphins, you can't replicate that in everyday life. So I would say it's those simple things. I wouldn't say a specific moment. Obviously, Boston series, there's like big games. Those are big ones. There's big moments, but to me it's more, what I miss the most is just the simple things of being able to share those moments with your teammates.
Most influential teammates or coaches in your career, and how did they have an impact on you?
My most influential teammates, I'll give you my favorite teammates, I would say, are Derrick Rose. And not because of how amazing he was as a basketball player, but just the humility that he carried through his success. You know, youngest MVP ever, and just the way he carried himself was just, to me, that was inspiring, and that's what drew me to him that much more. It's not, Derek carried this hope for not just us to win a championship, but for the whole city, and he had to carry that every single day. And I felt like I was just really proud to be able to not just wear the Bulls uniform, but just play hard for him because of what he represented. And geez, I'm like, I can't believe I'm getting like goosebumps just talking about my boy, man. It's like, and Luol Deng, man, like Luol Deng, like big shout out to Luol Deng, you know, being the president of the Federation of South Sudan. Like what people don't realize is Luol built the first courts in his country. We used to talk about this, you know, 15 years ago. And he's building the first courts, and they lost to the USA by 1 yesterday. By 1 point, the youngest country in the world. And so I'm so proud of my brothers and what they are, not just because of how great they were as basketball players, but all the stuff that they do off the court, the way they carry themselves. I mean, the Luol situation, the Luol Deng situation, you know, I've been doing a lot of work in Africa and spending a lot of time with Luol. And for him to be in a position to be able to do things like that on the continent, I'm so proud of my brothers and what they represent.
Just a quick segue. Do you still think Cleveland is what has your opinions on Cleveland evolved over the years?
I mean, not really. Like, I think it still resonates because there's a little truth to it, you know. Talking about 20 years ago, we were getting our asses kicked by LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. And it was, you know, when you lose, I didn't take losing well, but I felt like he was rubbing it in. So he was dancing on the court, and I remember being on the bench just really pissed off about it. So I said something about Cleveland. And people in Cleveland are not happy about it, but it's nothing personal. It was just an in-the-moment thing that people still talk about today.
Let's talk about like your motivation, right? Because what motivated you through the years, especially during tough times, and injuries? Like, what were some of the inner work that you did to maintain focus? What was that routine like for you?
I mean, I think that injuries is the hardest thing that you can deal with as an athlete. I'm going to be perfectly honest. You know, I lost my confidence a lot because of injuries. It was 4 or 5 years in a row where I just couldn't finish my seasons. But you know what? There's a lot of growth that comes with that kind of adversity. It made me think of not only what I needed to do on the court, but life after basketball. Because I realized I wasn't going to be able to play at 1,000% at that speed, at that level, my whole life. So when you're young, you feel like you're invincible. And as you get older and the injuries it just gave me a different humility and just the focus on realizing that my whole life wasn't going to just be basketball. And I really started focusing on my social work and the work that I was doing in the city at the time.
You're also known for leadership on and off. You know, how do you think your leadership style compares to the current NBA players? or not compare?
I mean, I think that leadership is, everybody can be a leader, first of all. When I played for the Bulls, a lot of people called me a leader. I felt like we had a team full of leaders. The way that I led my teams, I was good when it was the fourth game in 5 nights. Our team was tired. I was able to push through that, like push through my fatigue and then get my guys to get hyped up. And we won a lot of games just with energy and being able to, fight through the red. And I think that, to me, I think it was the way that I was raised that way. My dad used to wake me up before school and take me for a run. And, endurance it's tough because it's very revealing when you're looking at somebody on the court and you're competing, and then you look at that person and he's exhausted, and you're exhausted, but you know that you have another gear. I wasn't a great shooter. I didn't score a lot of points, but I felt like my biggest strength was my endurance and being able to fight through that. So I think that a lot of my leadership came being able to, fight through that fatigue.
So now, post-retirement, you're doing a lot of work in the nonprofit space, especially with your foundation, the Noah's Ark Foundation. You also do work with the One City basketball tournament, which Kobe Williams, who's here, a lot with, interrupting the violence. Tell the crowd a little bit about the work that you're doing currently.
I'll start by saying the work I do in Chicago, for me, I never look at it as charity work. I never look at it as nonprofit. For me, it's just part of the mission, part of my mission. This is where my platform is. I want to thank Kobe Williams, who's here, who just has a USA best-selling book, Interrupting Violence, that just came out. This is a man that I met on Twitter, and he's the only person I ever went to go have lunch with on Twitter. And, he's been my brother ever since. We used to go to playgrounds and around the city, and just our relationship just grew organically, just trying to do things for the kids. Our foundation focuses on after-school programs with art programs and basketball programs, and then it turned into something that was really powerful, where we brought different sections from around the city and had them play basketball against each other. And if you know this city's very divided in a lot of ways. And to be able to bring everybody into one gym, there was so much magic. These peace leagues have been way more powerful than any game that I've ever played in the United Center. And this is the work that we're doing. This is One City. It's bringing these 28 violence prevention groups in one court, in one gym every Saturday, and being able to compete, but also have workshops for the kids. We're paying our participants to come, and I think it's been really empowering, not just for our participants, but for everybody who's involved. So, the social work that we're doing here has definitely been a huge part of my life, and one of the reasons why I get up in the morning and I'm hype.
And the way that it works, and correct me if I'm wrong, like literally they pay kids and coaches to play basketball. And, and it shows like also like in those areas, like you can actually see the data of crime and kids getting involved into other things that are not, that are, less helpful to the community actually decreases, because instead of, getting involved in other things, you get to play basketball. And so he's been doing that for the past few years, and, been very lucky to go to the finals every time he does it, and it's great work. Let's dive into some quick question about any funny moments playing with the Bulls that people don't know about that you can share? Maybe a couple.
That's a tough question because I'm not the type of guy to throw my teammates under the bus. Because there was a lot of funny shit going on. I had a teammate by the name of Brad Miller. We used to call him the Big Duck. So one day, the day it was game day, and he gets on the bus, and he has one eye going this way and the other eye going this way, and he's hungover, bad. And he comes to me and he's like, I used to drink these energy drinks. There was one called Jack 3D. There was one called NO Explode. He's just, it's literally like crack, but I could play on it. So you can imagine the Jack 3D and the Hangover combo. It was a rough night for Brad. To me, that was it might not be funny for you guys, but if you saw Brad's face, it was hilarious.
Favorite meal favorite place or restaurant or meal you enjoyed back in the day when you played here?
After the games, keep it classic. I loved going to Gibson's. Gibson's always classic. Pico de Sogno?
Pico de Sogno.
Pico de Sogno. Great spot. Always show us love over there. Some of my favorites.
This is more the fire questions. Jordan, LeBron debate is the greatest.
I don't know why you guys are nervous right now. Look, I work for the Bulls, and there's a big Jordan statue in the front. So 100%, I would say Jordan. I never played against Michael Jordan. I played against LeBron James. You got to give LeBron credit. He's almost 40 years old, still doing it at a high level. It's very impressive. But I'm a Chicago guy, so I don't even know why you asking me a question like that. It's a little bit disrespectful, Claude.
I kind of do think it's LeBron for the record, but it's not me doing the interview. How would you, speaking of the Bulls, I think we're all excited. We're all mostly Bulls fans, and I'm a Bulls fan too, believe it or not. We have had a championship drought for quite a bit. Some people's lifetime here. When you think about the current team, from your perspective, what would you improve so that someday we can be a championship contender?
It's a tough question. We have a lot of work to do. I'm trying to be as politically correct as possible, but I think it's a safe space.
Safe space.
Yes, safe space with all these phones during Tech Week. No. We have work to do, but it is pretty amazing. The one thing that frustrates me the most is I just like the Lonzo Ball injury. I think that would have really made us that much better if his injury really derailed us. I just hope he can come back and play good basketball again, because that would have made us a playoff team at least, I love Billy Donovan. I won 2 national championships with him. I know what he stands. He's not just a coach. He's a good man. He's a guy who cares about the guys, who cares about the players, the well-being of the guys. That matters. He's a great coach. You know, his wife is somebody who, after the games, you know, checks on you, makes sure. It's a family vibe with the Donovan. So I love the coach. You know, unfortunately, we have to do better, and we will. Is that good enough? I mean, Jesus. Tough one. Tough one, Clyde.
Very media trained. This will wrap up our conversation for 30. We've been here for 30 minutes, and want to thank you. I did, for the record, whenever Joakim is in town, sometime we'll play one-on-one, and I did score on him once. I did, didn't I?
Clyde, man, how you gonna take the mic right now? And tell him that you're scoring on him?
I did score on him once. But want to thank everyone for coming. This has been an incredible Tech Chicago week, and we've had so many amazing speakers and amazing people come by. You know, it's just crazy seeing it, you know, kind of growing the way it's growing, and to incredible sponsors that make this possible. Like, this is, you see this of like a week of, you know, of events and stuff like that, but this is like 7-8 months of work. Each logo you see here is probably like 5-10 different meetings. It's a lot of work. So, you know, I hope you guys had a great time. I had a great time. Trust me, I did. And so this wraps up Tech Chicago Week. Thank you so much, Joakim, for doing this. Thank you. Appreciate you, brother.
Floor until 8:30, and on the 7th floor until 8 p.m. So grab a drink, grab some snacks, make some new friends, kick it with your old friends. We thank you for joining us here on the main stage all day. Once again, my name is Raj Nation, the Startup Hype Man. You can find me at Raj Nation, R-A-J Nation, and at startuphypeman.com. Big shout out to P33 for putting this on, and all our partners, World Business Chicago, Sterling Bay, and so many others. Peace, love, and get home safe, everyone.